Warframe is a game that cares to be good. Crazy thing for me to say, right? I mean, most games when they come out want to be good, but do they care to be good? Because that's a completely different story. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication to make a game and show to other players that you genuinely care about this game being good. If we look at Warframe on its surface, it's just a looter shooter, MMO light, a corridor shooter with open world elements. It shares the same space as many other games in the similar genre, and to be honest with you, the idea at its core is generic, but Warframe is anything but. If you go around and you start asking Warframe players why they love Warframe, why do they play Warframe, you're likely to get a variety of different answers. But there's two answers that stand out more than anything else, and they are a major contrast with most of the games that are in the industry today, especially live service games, and it's a telltale sign of why this game does so well and why it means so much to so many players. And it was something that I could only learn after playing the game for 300 hours. The future of the game and the community of the game. You often don't hear those kind of things coming from players, but it's something that I only understood after covering the game for now over a month, playing over 300 hours of Warframe, and now having completed the new war. Most players lament over a game's community. There aren't very many people that are out there that won't refer to gaming communities as toxic. And when it comes to players that are interested in the future of a game, it's almost always negative and skeptical, afraid that the game is going to stray further away from the things that brought them in to play the game in the first place. Warframe's player base adores this game and its developers. They have a stalwart confidence in the game's future, and through my journey, I've wanted to learn why that is, and now that I have, I'm going to share that discovery with you. Today, I'm going to be talking about my new player experience, my blind experience of playing Warframe's The New War, how it changed my perspective, and my exposure to what makes Warframe a standout game in a crowded market. Its community. I've spoken in the past about how Warframe is one of the most assuming games on the market. It's the internet's best kept secret, because the players and digital extremes want more players to play the game, but at the exact same time, they don't want to ruin that journey or experience for others. You almost can't even talk about what makes Warframe a great game without spoiling the entire game for other people, and it's impossible, it's next to impossible to tell people how the game feels to play as more systems, twists, and flexibility is introduced to the game at later levels. As odd as it may sound, the game that Warframe reminds me of the most is Nier Automata. And no, I'm not talking about hot robots. Well, I mean, I'm kind of talking about hot robots, but not fully. I mean, have you seen Ember's new cosmetic? I mean, goddamn. But regardless, what Warframe and Nier share is their ability to shift the perspective of the player in meaningful ways to drive engagement through gameplay and through its narrative simultaneously. I play games blind as I can. While I watch trailers and gameplay sometimes before making purchases that I was already planning on making, my favorite experiences are the games that I never took notice of, never watched anything on, but purchased on the recommendation of a friend and after seeing the game was already popular and had high reviews. I played Nier with no context, and imagine my surprise when the game starts you off doing this bullet hell mission as a mech fighter, a nostalgic treat of games long gone. I crash land and now I'm playing a 3D action game, and then a top-down game, and then a side-scroller platformer, and every time the perspective shifts, I find myself more immersed as I'm not only seeing the game from different angles visually, but I'm also seeing them differently from a narrative and mechanical perspective as well. Perspective is a powerful tool rarely used in game design, but it almost always leads to a more holistic understanding of a game's story and a game's mechanics. Nier shifts you from 2B to 9S to other characters so that you can see the entire picture. While they do this for narrative purposes, each character has its own unique twists and playstyles to make sure that each subsequent playthrough feels fresh. Nier isn't the first game to do this. We've seen this in God of War, switching from the role of Kratos to Atreus, Halo from Master Chief to the Arbiter, Last of Us 2 from Ellie to Abby, and even as far back as Metal Gear Solid with Raiden and Snake. We often have these characters and enemies that we interact with in a game, but we never fully understand them because we never played as them. By stepping into a different character's shoes, we get a richer understanding of the game's world and its conflicts. We see the motivations of various factions and individuals, challenging our initial assumptions about good and evil. This deeper connection to the narrative can lead to a more impactful emotional journey, fostering empathy and challenging our own biases. ultimately shifting and broadening our perspective, leaving us with a richer and more nuanced understanding of the game's world and furthering the mark that that game leaves on us. Warframe is a free-to-play game. And by and large, an experience like that, a narrative experience that shifts your perspective in many different ways, is foreign in free-to-play games. We're getting more than we bargained for. And in many cases, when I sat down to actually play the new War, well, I felt like I was playing a AAA game. I felt like I sat down and was playing the campaign for a full-price title. And that experience and that reward of that experience has yet again, what feels now like the millionth time, has shifted my perspective and changed the way that I think about Warframe. This discussion that we're about to have spoils a lot of things about Warframe's story, so viewer discretion is advised. Until New War, my understanding of Teshin, the Dax, the Orokin, the Grineer, the Corpus, hell, every faction including the Tenno was murky at best. While many games will try to do their best to explain lore through lore dumps or long-winded explanations, big cutscenes, or narrative-adjacent options like the Codex, Warframe does do some of that to some degree. The New War put me into the shoes of just about everyone that I had come across in my journey, and that changed my perspective and changed my understanding in a really meaningful way that I wasn't expecting. This is one of the hardest narrative shifts that I've experienced in a long time. Up to this point, enemy factions just yelled out random things. They had no personality, no individuality, just generic enemy dialogue like attack, intruder, or Tenno, and things like that. I never took the time to care about who they were, why they were fighting, why we were fighting, who they were fighting for, or anything of the sort. However, after starting the New War, I am placed directly in the shoes of Call 175, one of many throwaway Grineer clones caught up in the conflict on Earth and now trying to fight off the sentient invasion. I'm given familiar equipment from the Grineer, a UI that's unique to that character, and a new perspective on how this faction communicates, who they are, and what drives them. For Call, it's not about domination or following orders anymore. It's about fighting this new enemy and paying the ultimate price to protect his brothers.
Now we're gonna do it again, but we're gonna do it as a Corpus. Veso. This is so fucking cool! This is so cool!
Hold fast to your stations, crews.
That's not...
Our glorious victory is close at hand.
That's not cool.
Oh, and any remaining tech aboard narrow bend me at once.
Confirming tech aboard. Viso-R at your service. Most gilded director.
God,
Yes, tech profit.
God, this is like blowing my fucking mind right now. The amount of creativity.
Oh, from the fleet. Can you fix that, Vico?
It's Viso, most lucrative and sagacious visionary. Yes, I can try. There's a trace conduit nearby. I can bypass it.
Yes, do your thing. There's a nice bonus in it, if you can.
The amount of creativity and imagination and vision to be able to do something this fucking cool is just obscene. The fucking music is banging, the visuals are sick, the introduction of the characters is sick, different UIs for each character. Like, we don't even get this kind of quality in games that we pay fucking $70 for today. Yet I'm getting this in a game I paid nothing for. I haven't paid a dime for this. Why is nobody talking about this game? Why isn't anybody playing? Why isn't everybody playing this? What is this?
After completing this leg of the campaign, I'm then switched to the perspective of Venmo, a Corpus technician of low prestige that's tasked by Alad V to rid their ship of the sentient scourge. Vito is scared and timid, focused on self-preservation, and yet again, I'm given another unique UI, character expression, and mechanics that are solely meant to be used for just this one quest. I command pet units, a MOA that blows up debris to clear the way, a shield drone, and a laser MOA. Each one of them have their own job, their own weaknesses, and I have to learn on the fly how to use all three support units to overcome a ship that is hell-bent on killing me. With all of that culminating in Visa sacrificing their life to stem the tide of sentience while ignoring Alad V's instructions to surrender. Through my whiplash of the initial hour of playing New War, my outlook on Warframe's narrative and my future expectations of the game were completely shattered at this point. I delved into the lore, learning that Grineer value bonds of brotherhood above all else. I found that Corpus can sometimes value more than just money. I asked who I am in the eyes of these factions. What goals do I keep them from? How many innocents have I slain? And where can we find common ground to end this conflict that has gone on for far too long? These factions are better off as allies than as adversaries, and their impact on the outcome of this war can't be understated. But simple change in perspective for the sake of empathy isn't enough for Digital Extremes. They wanted to push it even further than that.
Fucking sick. Yes! Yes, let's go! Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. What you got? What is that? So if I hold my melee, I throw a disc? Okay. Dude, this is so sick looking. Holy fuck. I can catch on fire?
Fields will be scattered.
The Vortex fields will be
Ice,
scattered
fire,
through
and
the
light.
ship. Vortex can help you triangulate them.
Why?
I'm only trying to...
I don't need your help. Switch off.
You just have to match your color to theirs. Okay. Bro.
Please excuse orders.
Next, I took control of Teshin, who was bar none the most fun to play out of all of the characters I had played thus far. Equipped with his own unique playstyle, switching between different elements to match the affinity of different enemies during fights, another unique UI, and movement abilities that are closer to Warframes than anything else, tossing his disc to zip around the map, fighting mini-bosses and hordes of enemies, solving puzzles. This leg of the quest felt like the natural evolution of the experiences that I had played thus far, playing as the Grineer and the Corpus. Another unique perspective, unique playstyle, all displayed on unique tile sets that I'd never experienced before in the game up until this point. I want to make a point that Digital Extremes didn't have to do any of this. New War didn't have to go this hard. They easily could have just made this entire quest from the perspective of the Tenno. Notice I say Tenno and not the operator, though technically that's actually the exact same thing, but more on that later. But with that said, they didn't have to do all of this. And notice I kept talking about the UI, the unique UI. Each one of them have a unique UI. And the reason why I kept saying that is because it's likely something that a lot of people didn't notice. And Digital Extremes knew when they put that into the game that it's likely something that players wouldn't notice at all. And they did it because they cared. They did something that they didn't have to. They easily could have just used the same UI that we've been using the entire game and maybe move things around just slightly, but they didn't. They designed completely different UIs for each one of the characters because they wanted to make sure that it was a holistic experience. They did it because they cared to, not because they needed to. And that's one of the reasons why this game stands out so much, why it contrasts with the vast majority of games that I've been playing over the last few years. After playing as the Grineer and the Corpus and then Teshin, I'm stabbed and then thrown into the void alongside Lotus. You can't kill a devil, but you can send them back to where they came from. Fast forward, and now I'm playing as the Drifter, shrouded in mystery. Warframe has now reached back to its roots, slowing the gameplay down, and it's made more about stealth than anything else. I can't tell you how happy I was to have a mission like this, especially after my thoughts on the Chains of Harrow quest. Wishing for more moments like that where the game slows you down and gives you these environments that you want to explore. Gives these moments where you want to stop and appreciate the beauty of what Warframe has to offer. Moments like this are what it takes to make a game go the extra mile for the player. It offers that opportunity for us to be able to take a breath, absorb what happened, yet leave us questioning everything that we've experienced thus far. Oddly, I was more impressed with the pace change as the Drifter versus the high-octane action of the previous perspectives. I was already overwhelmed with information, with the plot, with the music, with the overall experience, and the throttled down speed of the Drifter gave me the moments I needed to be able to digest what had happened to me. As I mimic Solid Snake from Metal Gear, stealth killing enemies and infiltrating bases, disrupting this newfound enemy in Namur, I was hit with the realization that veterans of Warframe who've been watching my playthrough were surprised that I didn't pick up on something earlier, and I think it's a key flaw that I've found in the narrative progression in Warframe and the Duviri paradox. Since I'm a new player, I played Duviri in my first 10 to 20 hours of playtime. I never made the connection between the phrase drifter and the character that I was playing as when I finally got to see the face reveal during the new war. Within minutes of making the connection, I vaguely started to understand who the drifter was and who the operator actually is. Something that's become far clearer after I watched a clip of Duviri's opening scene played next to New War's cutscene of us being tossed into the void. Mirrored versions of myself, reflections that exist through eternalism of the void, as the past, future, and present mean nothing there. They all happen simultaneously and exist all as one. While this reveal knocked me back, little did I know that the most memorable moment of my playthrough was soon to follow. That was my return to Fortuna.
Heal the pain of independence. Strong, our wise and trusted friend. We united in one vision. Rise to sing of sorrow's end. He the bringer of the vision bids you answer to his call. Praise the wise and mighty ballast. Heed the ruler of us all. For we're all one, and the work's begun for Namur. And we all run to our golden sun for Namur, for Namur.
Vox Solaris collapsed under Narmer. You're on your own here. Keep your head down and get topside as quick as you can. Wait. Deacons. They'll sense if you're not veiled. Give them a white berth, or you'll be sucking black ooze before long.
Oh my god. This is a moment that tells the player, tells the operator, that they didn't just fail to save Lotus, they lost the war. No longer are the citizens of Fortuna lifting together for the sake of their own. They're lifting as one, cleansed of individuality, of dreams and desires, all in the name of Namur. This moment struck me the same way as the final steps of faith in Final Fantasy XIV. This carefully executed moment that takes the player from mind-blowing excitement, action, and intrigue to feeling the weight of what you've lost and the insurmountable threat that you face. But it was a threat that we would ultimately overcome. As I continued through the quest, mysteries that were once shrouded became more clear. I learned more about the Zariman, the day of the failed jump. I learned that Ballas is literally just a bitter boy that got friend-zoned, all culminating in a massive climax and the reveal of what I believe to be an even greater threat. New War is one of the best quests I've ever played, period. It's a step above any other free-to-play game or live service market that's out there, and it's something that I would have expected for a game that I paid $70 for at this point. It was cohesive, it tied together loose ends, and it left me with a cliffhanger that demands that I play more. You know, I keep rolling back to this idea of care, because I think it's something that's just painted all over this game. You can clearly see that for Digital Extremes, this isn't just a 9-to-5 job. This is a game that they are dedicating all of their energy to, all of their creative energy, all of their love to. They love this game, and they love the community just as much. And you could tell because of the effort that they put in to making sure that they're delivering on an experience that they want to and that they think that players will value. They're tapping into something that I think a lot of the industry has lost touch with, and that's why players love playing games and why people like making games or love making games. I don't log into your game, buy your game, or whatever because I'm there to win a match, because I'm there to be told a story, because I'm there to unlock achievements. No, I want to see how you can take all of those things, tie them all together, present them to me in an experience that I don't want to forget. And that's exactly what they did. Well, I think my Quest experience thus far, including Veilbreaker and Angels of Zariman, have all served to give me a better understanding of the quality, narrative, and gameplay perspective of why players love playing Warframe. There is something intangible here that I personally haven't seen anywhere else outside of maybe Final Fantasy XIV, which in retrospect makes a lot of sense because a lot of folks at Digital Extreme are huge fans of Final Fantasy XIV. But one of the things that struck me early on is how eerily similar these communities are when it comes to raving and engaging with their respective games. While Naoki Yoshida and his team are more recognized, partially because their MMO is more widely played, while I started to ponder this idea of care when it came to Warframe, how you can see that the developers truly care about the game and its player base, I quickly saw what sets these teams and their games apart in a saturated market. They often will do things that they don't need to do, that they don't have to do, but they'll do it anyway because they want to do those things. They add UI elements and abilities to characters that you'll only experience once. They'll write songs to tap into the soul of the player. They aren't afraid to take risks, and they aren't afraid to represent their game. Digital Extremes every week have their community managers and their developers play Warframe in front of a live audience on Twitch. They communicate directly with them. They answer their questions. They show off their fan art. They give away currency. They visit their ships. They view their fashion. They show that they care. For years, we've seen some of the biggest games fail because they just won't engage with their audience. They'd rather write apology posts on Twitter or record apology videos for YouTube instead of seeing eye to eye with their players, the people that actually care about their game, because it's obvious that they don't. Oh, and by the way, it's not just Primetime that streams every Thursday. They also have dev shorts that they post weekly where they continue to answer questions, even ones that developers don't normally answer, and they continue to show players that they are genuinely listening to them and genuinely care about their feedback. I want to make it clear, they don't have to do this. Nobody does this. It's not even an expectation of the players to have this level of engagement with the developers. They are going above and beyond, not because they feel like they need to, because it's something that they want to do. This is a personal touch where the developers want to play alongside the fans, want to discuss feedback, want to showcase community creations, and it underscores a rare level of transparency and empathy that doesn't exist anywhere else. Even Final Fantasy XIV doesn't go this hard, though that's likely due to language barriers more than anything else. Major studios often fail when it comes to community engagement. Instead of fostering meaningful dialogue, they're resorting to reactive PR measures anytime any issue arises. There is a major disparity in the way that Digital Extremes carries themselves and their approach, and everything else that the rest of the industry has been doing for so long. There is a broader trend in the gaming industry where genuine player connection is taking a backseat to corporate strategies. Digital Extremes, on the other hand, is demonstrating that sustained community engagement is not only feasible, but it's something that can be integral to a game's survival and keeping that game sustained over a long period of time. This proactive engagement not only enhances the quality of the game, but it's nurturing that positive community spirit. Players feel valued when their feedback is not only heard, but actively incorporated into a game's evolution. And to be honest, oftentimes we don't even need to see changes in the game. We just want to be heard. We want them to take notice. This is fostering a sense of ownership and loyalty that transcends any typical player-developer relationship. Ultimately, Digital Extremes and their commitment to community and their care for the game not only sets Warframe apart in a rather competitive market of a bunch of different studios that are trying to hop into the live service landscape, but they're showing what it takes to be successful. Digital Extremes know what it takes to be successful. It's the players. Now, in the spirit of that engagement, because I know that a few Digital Extremes developers have been enjoying this video series so far, look forward to the ultimate review, by the way. That'll be coming soon. But with that said, Duviri Paradox. One thing that I would change, and I realize you guys don't want to move the quest because you want to have new players have access to the circuit. It's a really easy way for new players to be able to get frames. I highly appreciate that mechanic, by the way. But with that said, there is a YouTube video that's floating around that has a direct comparison between the events that happen in New War and what happened in the opening cutscene for Duviri Paradox. I think that that cutscene should play directly after the reveal of the Drifter in New War. Because if you do that, then the players can make the connection between those two things. It wasn't until I watched that direct comparison outside of Warframe that I made that connection myself. And that's just because Duviri was so early into the game that, I mean, I had lost all ability to make that kind of connection. I don't have the kind of memory like that, and I would probably like to believe, I would hope to believe that most people also don't, and if they do, then I have a memory problem, and that's an issue. But maybe that's for another time. Regardless, this has been such a joy. It's been such a good time playing this game. It's been a great time experiencing it and everything it's had to offer. My next quest is Whispers in the Wall, and then Jade Shadows, which is kind of crazy. I'm almost caught up. Bittersweet, to say the least. It's been a wild ride thus far, and I'm going to continue on it. I'm going to still make videos on Warframe. I still have a few other videos that I want to make, talking more about my journey, ultimately, you know, making a ultimate review at one point in time and things like that. But I'm hoping that those of you that have been following the journey so far stick around for other content as well. I have a ton of other games that I'm planning on covering. There's a bunch of new games that are to be coming out this summer as well as in the fall. So look forward to some of that. But it's been great. And I really appreciate the support. And I appreciate you guys watching the videos and showing up to the streams. If you guys want to catch my live reaction to Jade Shadows as well as Whispers in the Wall, well, you guys can follow me and catch me live on Twitch. I'll be posting those there. I'll be streaming those there. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you guys for watching the video. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, my friends. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Family, 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 family.